Hey, it's Juck. And one of those things, I'm kind of like his protege. You know what I mean? And in being his protege, you would think today when he had Sonny flipping Styles sitting down in an interview with him, he might give me a heads up. Yo, bro, I'm about to talk to Sonny Styles. Isn't that amazing? Your favorite player? Isn't that awesome? You got a question you might like me to ask for you? Nothing. I got nothing. Not a text, not a nothing. He didn't tell me word one. I found out when everybody else found out that he was interviewing Sonny Styles on the show today. Some pal. Let's get it. And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback. The truth is Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those. You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country. And welcome into Juck on Bucks on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Appreciate you so much. Busy day here at Juck on Bucks Studios, Northeast Ohio, and a lot of college football to talk about. But first, my little girl Gigi is home from the vet, spunky in spirit as ever. We got a couple of steps today. The surgery was successful. Movement in both hind legs. Thank you all so much for your well wishes. Appreciate you guys so much. And you guys know if you got pets, they become part of the family. After 5 years, she's definitely a big part of ours. So we're all really happy. Going to be a long recovery and really difficult keeping her away from the rest of the pack. Remember, I got 5. And they really want to see mom. She's the mom. And she's all quarantined off right now because, she can't have any contact with them. And they're rough dogs. So, but we're happy. I'm on cloud 9. So thank you so much for all the well wishes. You guys are awesome. We got 2 weeks left of training camp, and then it is a game prep week. And don't forget that post-game show starting immediately after the game, every single game here at Juck on Bucks. We're going to talk about everything. I got a TV right in front of me, which means we can watch the next games here, and I'll sit here with you and rap as long as you guys want to. I got some rotating guests that are going to be lined up, and most of the time it's just going to be me and you, me in the chat, and we're going to talk about everything. And I can't wait. Probably the main reason I started this show was to be able to get on after the game and talk to you guys post-game. So can't wait for that. Don't forget, media access resumes on Thursday at the Woody, and our buddy Dylan Davis will be there with the rest of the Buckeye beat to talk to Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, and Jim Knowles again. The following week, we're going to get word from Justin Fry, the offensive lineman. I can't wait for that one. I want to hear from Tegra. I want to hear from Josh Simmons, Seth McLaughlin. I want to hear from all of them. I want to hear from all the linemen, Keenan Bailey and the tight ends. Really want to hear what Keenan Bailey has to say about this room. I want to hear what Jelani Thurman has to say. I want to hear if anybody has the stones to ask Jelani Thurman about the call out from Ryan Day the other day. That'll be very interesting. Also going to hear from Matt Guerrieri and the safeties. And I was thinking Matt Guerrieri, probably, in my opinion, the least entertaining of these coaches, not through any fault of his own. Guys, I like listening to him. But this staff is full of dynamic personalities. When you look at O.G. Walt, Brian Hartline, Carlos Loughlin, Chip Kelly, Jim Knowles on the dry side, but just brilliant. I love listening to him. Justin Fry, always interesting to listen to because he's been under scrutiny since he's been here, basically. Keenan Bailey, don't really feel like I got much on him yet. Still kind of getting to know his personality, but Matt Guerrieri, a great football mind, like Jim Knowles. I think that guy's going to be a defensive coordinator at a big-time program at some point. Really nice personality, just not incredibly interesting like those other guys. But you know who is? Caleb Downs. And we're going to get to hear from him next week as well. Really looking forward to that. And speaking of Caleb Downs got himself an NIL deal, and I want to show you guys.
Vibe.
Hey guys, Caleb Downs here, safety with the Ohio State Buckeyes. I have a message for my fellow athletes. If you want to make more NIL cash, download the LaunchPoint app, right now. I handle all my NIL deals through LaunchPoint. It's not just another app, it's a total game changer. It takes only 2 minutes to set up. There's the best brands on the LaunchPoint app, and they're looking to work with you.
Just wanted to make sure I passed that on. Now, I don't know how many Juckeyes have a need for that service for your NIL deals, but I do think we have a couple. I know my guy Eli Lee watches every day. Eli might not have them yet, but he's gonna Eli, make sure you download that app for all your NIL deals. Dylan Davis is going to be here with us on Friday to recap the press conferences on Thursday with Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, and Chip Kelly. Is that the day that Ryan Day announces Will Howard is the starting quarterback? It seems pretty logical that it would be earlier in camp than he did it with Justin Fields or CJ Stroud, but there is no scheduled press conference the following week for him or the coordinators, which makes me think that this Thursday is probably the day. I think he has seen enough to confirm what his original plan was, and I think his original plan was Will Howard's going to come in here and win the starting quarterback job, and we're going to proceed like that. I think he's seen enough now that we've heard from not just the coaches, not just the players, but some of the most honest players on the team, that the command that Will Howard has really impressed them. The amount that he's improved from the spring to now has really impressed them. We've seen the physical transformation. We can even see it in his demeanor in the interviews. The revelations he's having, 50-50 balls aren't 50-50 balls with these receivers. He doesn't need to be a hero. It's all just syncing up. And even the hardcore Devin Brown supporters, I know many, seem to me to feel a lot more at ease and a lot more confident, certainly than they were in the spring with what we were hearing from Will Howard. And definitely even in the first week of preseason camp, things are moving in the right way. And that feels good to have everybody on the same page here. I really like that. I'd have been happy with either of these guys. I think they can both do it. I think Devin Brown's got it in him. I think the biggest question for me is, we're talking about playing depth. We're talking about the length of the season, injuries, and we've got a deep quarterback room. When do they pull Will out of the game? Do you ride with him, even in games that aren't too close, halfway through the fourth quarter? Or do you try to give that number 2 guy, whether that's Devin, whether that eventually becomes Julian, as many reps as you can when you got the game in hand? You could think about it in 2 ways, right? Will Howard doesn't have a ton of experience in this offense with these receivers, and you're going to want to get him as many live reps as you can, but you may need that number 2 quarterback at some point during the season. And Devin's he feels like he's been around forever, but he's not played a lot of football. Last year with the split with McCord, it was a joke. He just hasn't played much football. So, speaking of which, get a load of this.
They had last year, and that's probably what they're going to get with a guy like Will Howard. Now, behind him, they've got Devin Brown, who's a little bit more athletic.
Ryan Day, and I don't know if it was just Ryan Day, maybe the media who wasn't so familiar with Ryan Day, but the pumping of Devin Brown as some superior athlete in the preseason last year, absolutely comical. This guy's a gunslinger. He's not some athlete. The fact that they said he ran over 20 miles an hour blew my mind. Like, he's not any kind of twitched up athlete. He's not a super fast athlete. He's not a better athlete than Will Howard, but he's going off of that because that was the narrative heading into last year. Kyle McCord was the drop back passer. Devin Brown was the dual threat. He never was the dual threat. Obviously, we all know that now, but some of us knew that then when they were saying that, but my people that are listening to this show definitely knew then that Devin Brown was not some dynamic athlete. But most of the Buckeye Nation had heard that nonstop, and then they saw him in some running packages, which he even looks silly to me running. Like, it's just not him. You watch his high school film, this dude's just a straight up gunslinger. But that narrative still circulating around the college football world. And that was Uncle Lou. And Uncle Lou last night was talking Buckeyes, as were the guys at the Solid Verbal. And I think this is the most spot on thing. The Buckeyes are all the talk all over the country. But this might be the most spot on take on the Buckeyes that I've heard from anybody outside of an Ohio State channel in quite a while. Have a listen to Ty Hildebrandt and Dan Rubenstein talking about the Buckeyes.
And it did so for Ryan Day as well. This offseason, he basically took no prisoners in trying to end that losing streak. So what did he do? To start, he retained a lot of his own guys, which was, I think, a feat of strength.
Yeah.
Behind that NIL infrastructure, behind his ability to recruit guys to the program just in general. There were guys who could have gone pro, could have gone elsewhere, but due to the infrastructure in place, talking about guys like Emeka Egbuka, who else? Denzel Burke is probably another guy, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
JT Tuamalu, yeah.
Of course, his ability to retain those guys is going to be overlooked amid the other stuff that he did this offseason, but it might be the most important thing that he did. So kudos to him for that. What else? Well, they aimed high in the portal. They brought in a handful of true difference makers. They didn't go crazy. They didn't have like 25 guys via the portal, but the guys they got, I think, are going to be impact players. Will Howard, presumably the new quarterback from Kansas State. Quinshawn Judkins from Ole Miss at running back. Caleb Downs from Alabama comes over to bolster that defensive backfield at safety. Those are guys who are going to step in and truly make an impact on this roster. And then I think the cake topper, as you mentioned in part one, the biggest transfer of all might have been luring Chip Kelly away from UCLA.
How honest and accurate was that? They didn't go crazy in the portal. That might be the first time outside of us that I've heard somebody not characterize that as they went crazy in the portal. Like, I mean, spot on. And those guys, they've been maybe one of the first college football podcasts I ever found. One of the original ones. They've been fantastic. Now, this is really strange, right? So they've been around forever and big on the audio format in podcasts. I have wondered forever why I can't get any traction on the audio side. If you like this show and you ever listen to podcasts on your phone, download it on there. Check it out, man. My numbers on there, abysmal. They've never gone up since I started this show. The YouTube side, steady, it's gained a lot of traction. Thankfully, I appreciate you guys so much. It's been awesome. They're just the opposite. They own the podcast format. Their YouTube views, they get very few, and I can't figure out why. Like why some folks listen to just one and not the other. I don't know, because I do both. I listen to both podcasts and YouTube shows. Anyway, my point is the Solid Verbal guys absolutely nailed it there. And Will Howard, I think he's going to be named the starter. I'm hoping number 2 quarterback gets more reps than we're used to seeing. And I think that Cody Simon is going to get the block O. 2020, college football made it legal to issue the number 0 to a player. It was not before then. And the number 0 in this font is a block O, which gave the Buckeyes the perfect opportunity to do something cool with it, and they sure did. The block O is given to an outstanding Buckeye, usually in their final year, though I don't know if that's specifically been acknowledged, that is mandatory. But they give it out in honor of one of the all-time greats, Bill Willis, number 99, a defensive end whose Buckeyes career spanned from 1942 to 1944. He was an All-American, a national champion with the Buckeyes, later went on to break the color barrier in the National Football League, along with Marion Motley, with the official NFL team of Juck on Bucks, the Cleveland Browns. Marion Motley, also from Canton McKinley High School. So a couple of Buckeyes broke the color barrier in the NFL. And they did that 2 months before Jackie Robinson did it in Major League Baseball. Now, growing up as a kid, we all know Jackie Robinson. You learn about Jackie Robinson when you're real young. I never knew this about Bill Willis till I was much older. And I can't think of why, other than maybe baseball was more popular than football back then. Like, I think that was the case. I don't know how that was ever the case, but I still don't understand. Like, we should have known who was first. It was Bill Willis and Marion Motley. Give our Buckeyes some credit here. Also, Larry Doby, American League, played for the Indians, the first American leaguer to break the color barrier. I think that was something like 30 days after Jackie Robinson. And I think only us Clevelanders know about that. But Bill Willis should be much more famous. And Bill Willis was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the College Football Hall of Fame. His number 99 retired in the Ring of Honor at Ohio Stadium, forever Ohio Stadium. And the legendary Paul Brown, the most influential man in the history of college football, any football, not college football, any football at all, won a Ohio State championship at Massillon, Washington, a national championship at Ohio State, and an NFL championship, several of them with the Cleveland Browns, called Bill Willis one of the most outstanding linemen in the history of professional football. And to honor Bill Willis, they tied him all into this with that block O, that number 0, and they handed out to one Buckeye player that exemplifies toughness, accountability, and the highest of character. And we've had 4 Buckeyes so far win the block O. I think it's an awesome award. I love the way they did it. I love the way they tied it into Bill Willis. And I think it should be celebrated. So I'm celebrating it right now by talking about it. Who's won it so far? Jonathan Cooper, Fair Munford, Cameron Babb, and Xavier Johnson. All super worthy guys. Absolutely love X. The fact that he was a walk-on, what a leader he was. Just a great guy. And he had it last year. Now, when I had Dillon on one time, we talked and gave our guesses. And my guess was Cody Simons. That was his too. I don't think anybody exemplifies it as much as Cody Simon. But there are several guys that are worthy on this particular team. I think what draws me to Cody is, of all these guys that are worthy, he's been maybe the least celebrated, gotten probably the least playing time. And that makes me want to root for him. And I'd love him to get it. But he's not from Ohio. And again, not a criteria, but it would make me feel better if it was an Ohio guy. But his dad was a West Point guy. He's super organized, excellent businessman. James Laurinaitis said he's had several companies already offer him big-time deals, but he's turning them down, putting them off because he wants to play in the NFL first, at least take a swing at it. Offensive lineman. Now, there was some talk that maybe the offensive lineman couldn't win this. So the offensive lineman, they can win it. Thayer Munford wore his 75 when he won it because he can't wear it. You cannot wear it as an offensive lineman, but he still won the block O. So nobody else had it. So if you look at the offensive lineman this year, you'd have to go with Donovan Jackson. He would definitely be a candidate. Certainly worthy, though I don't think he's going to get it. Other offensive candidates, definitely Travion Henderson, a guy who absolutely embodies the toughness, the way he's fought through injuries, the accountability. An amazing team player who Ryan Day praised for when he first had the option to potentially bring Quinshon on, going to Trey, asking Trey his thoughts. Trey said, give me a day to sleep on it, came back and said, let's do it. Whatever will help the team. That's selflessness. That's excellent. Trey, certainly a worthy guy. Emeka, another worthy guy, undeniably a leader and a mentor to everybody in that wide receiver room, most of the team, really. A guy who struggled through some injuries, certainly embodies all the characteristics that they would be looking for. G. Scott Jr., one of the best leaders on the team. Look, there's so many of these guys. G. Scott Jr. got 5 teammates, baptized them, gave the sermon. Like, this is a team guy. Changed positions, remade his body to be able to play his new position. Everybody loves G. I'm certainly rooting for that guy. If any one of those guys won it, I'd be super happy. Jack Sawyer, Ryan Day's first ever commitment out of high school from Pickerington North, local guy. It was Cody Simon and Jack Sawyer who got the ball rolling for all the seniors to come back. I mean, there's few things you could knock Jack Sawyer for. The fact that he's from an Ohio guy, I think outside of Cody, to me, I would feel the best if Jack got it. Lathan Ransom, definitely a deserving candidate. We heard Ryan Day just praise him last week and his leadership. Denzel Burke, OG was talking about him last week and how much more he's given him, making the calls on the field. We've seen him mature, kind of, grow from a really shy, quiet dude when he was young, and then just totally change. Now he's more of a vocal leader and working on that even more. Went to Big Ten Media Days with Ryan Day. That's a huge honor, being just one of 3. But out of these guys, who's going to be captain? I know for sure Cody Simons won. I got to go with Jack Sawyer too. Definitely Jack Sawyer. And then probably you would think Denzel and Emeka, because they went, the 3 of those guys, Jack, Denzel, and Emeka, to Big Ten Media Days, unless Ryan Day is going to try to spread out those honors. You guys came to Big Ten Media Days. I'm going to make these guys captain. What they're not going to do is have a big pile of captains like we did for those couple of 5 years there, where they were piling on captains, which James Laurinaitis told the story of why Urban Meyer wanted to do that. So he made all these guys captains, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. And the reason he did that, he explained, was for the rest of these guys' lives, wherever they go, whatever they do, they can put down on their resume, I was an Ohio State captain. And Urban felt that that will open so many doors to them and speak so highly of them to have been a captain at Ohio State. So he wanted to maximize as many guys as he could to get that on their resume, which I had never thought of it like that. That's a fantastic point. Some serious, it's cool insight. And I love that that's the reason why. But they're not doing it like that anymore. So I put up the poll for the Block O. I've got Cody Simon, Jack Sawyer, Trey Henderson, G. Scott Jr., and Emeka on the poll. If you think it should be somebody else, write it in underneath. I want to see what we're all thinking. Who should win that Block O? Anyway, Bucknuts 24/7's Bill Kurlick, recruiting analyst for Bucknuts, been doing it for 35 years. Was one of the pioneers. Guy had a 1-900 number where you would call the 1-900 number and get recruiting news. That's how long he's been doing it. But he wrote an article today. Shaker Heights safety Trey McNutt announced he picked the Ducks on August 3rd. In mid-June, he told Bucknuts, yes, I still plan to visit Ohio State, probably in the season. He told Bucknuts, even if he made a commitment to another school, the official visit to Ohio State was still on the agenda. Bill Kurlick caught up on Sunday to talk about Oregon, the school still recruiting him, and the possibility of an Ohio State visit. McNutt said it was a big decision choosing Oregon. Lots of schools are trying to recruit him still, like Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Florida. The conversation then turned to Ohio State and an Ohio State official visit at one of the Buckeye games this season. I wonder how it turned to that topic there. I think that was Trey that brought that up, or Bill. Trey said, Coach Guerreri is still recruiting me. We planned on an official visit during the season. I'm not sure right now if I'll make that visit. I have to think about it. I just have to decide. Just when I thought it was over. These articles generally don't generate a whole lot of comments. A little update like this. The Bucknutters were not happy about this one. The dismissive attitude of McNutt towards Ohio State throughout this entire process has got a lot of Buckeye fans feeling very insulted. I felt it in my comments section. It's one thing to choose another school like Justin Hill, but when you're someone who everyone assumes, and again, that's everyone's fault, not the kids, but everyone assumed that he would be an Ohio State lean because his dad played for Ohio State and because he's from Northeast Ohio, the most loyal part of the state. And they say where the toughest Ohioans are from. I don't say that. They say that. He never even visited, and it felt like a real slap in the face to a lot of people. To me, it just further cemented what I've been seeing these last couple of cycles and what I've decided moving forward, that I needed to change the way I go about this mentally in my approach, that highly rated Ohio recruits are automatically, to me, now considered not Ohio State leans, but national recruits. They've grown up in a different era than we are used to. The world is now smaller from social media. It's less scary to go to other places because communication is so much easier. You feel more connected wherever you're at. And they're much more familiar with these other programs because of social media, because they've seen this for years and they've seen other guys go places out of state. They see the top recruits. They see their graphic, all the schools they pick. They're all over the country. That's what they think they should do. That's what they want to do. And we need to just recalibrate our brains that those top guys are going to need to be recruited as hard as somebody from Georgia. That's just the way it's going to be now. And that's why look, we hear about the massive lineman class in the state of Ohio next year, and it's just supposed to be a layup to get these guys. Guys, it's not. Absolutely not. There's 4 linemen in the state of Ohio next year that are Ohio State offer worthy. 3 of them have offers. Adam Guthrie does not. Don't know why not. He should. I've had several conversations with 3 of those guys. And Will Conroy from St. Ignatius, there's a story behind that one, but the Buckeyes are not in his final schools. Max Riley, I've never spoken to Max. At this point, he's a Buckeye lean, but he's visiting everywhere. Sam Greer, that's the 6'8", 290-pound tackle right down the street from here in Akron. Very interested in Ohio State, very interested in Michigan and a couple other schools. I definitely wouldn't call him an Ohio State lean. So Guthrie, no offer. Conroy, Ohio State, not incredibly interested. Maxwell Riley, currently a lean. Sam Greer, that's still in the air. So resting on your laurels and thinking that this Ohio State offensive line class is all coming to Ohio State, already there's one out for sure. Conroy's not coming. So now you're down to 3. One doesn't have an offer. Rock Hill, 2026 best cornerback in the country right here out of Akron. Already been to Bama. Already been to Oregon. Rock is a little more of a Bo Jackson type of personality for whatever that's worth. So I expect him to probably end up at Ohio State. But the thought of him making a decision anytime soon, which has been floated, absolutely not happening. He's going through the entire process and going to take those visits officially next cycle. So Ohio State recruits like Tavian St. Clair, they're becoming more and more rare. And Tavian St. Clair, a great job by the Buckeyes. They absolutely are getting rewarded for it because they went out and found him and offered him before he blew up. And that's what they're going to continue to have to do. 18 months ago, Tavian St. Clair was not rated nationally. And today, Rivals came out with their new rankings. Rivals, my favorite recruiting service of this particular cycle. Look, they're horrible, but they've given Carter Lowe his 5th star, the only ones who have done that yet, which gives the Buckeyes 5 stars in the Rivals class. And Tavian St. Clair, now the number 1 player in the country per Rivals for 2025. Absolutely fantastic. From unranked to number 1. Devin, Naeem, Pettijohn, and Carter Lowe, all 5 stars. 5 stars in Rivals. So awesome news for Tavian St. Clair being the number 1 in the country. And we've talked about it here before quite a few times. Andrew Ivins of 24/7, the big boss man, the director of, I believe the director of scouting, one of the guys whose voice means a lot, has talked a lot of times about potentially Tavian St. Clair overtaking Bryce Underwood for that number 1 spot in 24/7. On 3, a joke. They've got him at number 8, but they do have Devin in there ahead of him. I don't know if Naeem is in their top 10, actually. They got DJ Pickett ranked ahead of Naeem for sure at cornerback. But, it's things like that when I see it that it's just like on 3, no, I'm not ready to make this switch. That's ridiculous. Everybody else understands what Tavian St. Clair is. Why don't you? They got the Corian Moore ranked over Tavian St. Clair. When I saw that, just, guy wouldn't be a number 1 wide receiver in most classes, and he's ranked ahead of Tavian St. Clair. Anyway, the NIL stuff I saw today, the Caleb Downs thing, his new project, caught another one too. Now, this one's a little interesting. So 2 weeks ago, I caught Dillon Gabriel, Oregon's new quarterback. He had an NIL ad, and what he was doing was giving a bunch of his teammates jewelry. Let's check that out right now.
Everyone, just want to send a huge shout out to Shop GLD, icing the boys out. We're here at the Dime Time Retreat, enjoying it, about to get iced out and have a throwing session. Let's go.
GLD, big brother. That's what we do all day.
Hey, shout out GLD. We appreciate it.
Brian Kaufman's out here, running back Oregon. Shout out GLD for getting us right out here.
So they're the ones who made that sweet duck necklace there. The one you probably saw Trey McNutt put on when he announced for the Ducks. And shortly after that, Trey McNutt had an ad for his new NIL deal.
We are here today for, of course, the commitment of Trey McNutt, 5-star safety, top 25 player in the country. Guys, is an absolute beast. He is set to come in here in about 5 minutes.
Hey man, it's your boy Trey here, number one safety in the country. You already know it's commitment day, so I had to rock with GLD. Hey, shout out to GLD, man. Got me iced out today. Had a great commitment. Got me the cyber truck, all that, man. Had a blessed day today. Thank you, GLD.
They got him that hideous cyber truck, all that hideous jewelry. There you go. Congrats. Anyway, interesting that they gave Dillon that deal. They're handing it out to freshmen too. So GLD, whatever they are, I think it's fake knockoff jewelry. They got enough to get him a cyber truck apparently. And that thing's hideous, by the way. Absolutely hideous. Is that cool amongst the youngsters? Because it's so ugly. I don't have any idea what they were thinking when they designed this thing. I remember the unveil when they unveiled the thing and it first came out, looking at that, thinking there's no way that thing's actually going to make it to production. Now I'm seeing it on the road. It sure is a showstopper. Everybody wants to look at that ridiculous looking thing. That's for sure. But Steve Wiltfong had some choice words today. And when you listen to this guy,
they're from Texas, and now they have a chance to add David Sanders. This is a recruitment where I've liked Tennessee's position for quite some time, but there was a window here in the spring, early summer where I thought Ohio State was really giving them a challenge on the trail. But as the intel continues to come in leading into his commitment this weekend, really like where Tennessee stands. They have a fantastic receiver class in the fold. They have arguably the best tight end class in the country with Brame and Van Dorselaere from Texas. And now they have a chance to add David Sanders alongside Douglas Utu, which would be a hellacious offensive line combo here in the 2025 class, as Utu was as coveted an interior offensive line prospect as there was in the land. He chose Tennessee over Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, and many others.
So Tennessee, as you said, Tennessee sits number 9 currently. We think when David Sanders commits on Saturday, if he picks Tennessee, that'll move them maybe right outside the top 5.
So doesn't sound like good news from Mr. Wiltfong. However, I'm calling BS on him referring to it as the intel says. There is one piece of intel that came out, and that piece of intel is the deal that changed from Tennessee in that final official visit weekend, not official visit weekend, that final barbecue weekend when Ohio State didn't do anything and he went to Nebraska and Tennessee. Tennessee at that point changed his deal. They sweetened it to a certain extent. And that's it. Unless he knows something else, but I don't think he does, because the day before he made that RPM, the prediction that David Sanders was going to Tennessee, the day before, he said basically, it's a crapshoot. He could go any one of these places, but I'm leaning Tennessee. The very next day, he puts out the RPM. The day after, 24/7 puts out their crystal ball. And the woman who did it admits she has no intel. She just did the dot connecting. 7 visits here, 3 visits here. Last visit was over here. I'm going to choose these guys. He said he felt more comfortable here with the vibe, and that insinuated that there was more pressure at Ohio State, and it all lines up with Justin Fry. He's under pressure. He must have felt pressure there. I'm choosing Tennessee. That's what's going on here, except for that deal. What was that deal? What was in that thing? We don't know. There was some kind of value or something to it that Ohio State was not willing to match, or is not willing to match, or isn't able to match. Don't know what that thing is. But we've heard from a couple of sources close to Ohio State recruiting that that is the case, that Tennessee did something Ohio State couldn't or wouldn't do. Different than money. There's something else there. I've heard housing, but that's not, that doesn't make any sense to me. Ohio State could certainly do that. I mean, that's easier than cash even, right? Put them up in housing. I don't understand. I don't know what it is. Haven't got to the bottom of that one, but I feel like I am quick, and you guys have even like yelled at me a time or two about this, but when there is actual intel, I am quick to, when the Buckeyes are in on a guy, follow the whims of recruiting, the ups and downs. You guys have seen me. I get irritated about it. I freak out. We're going to lose them. And then we end up getting the guy and I'm like, hey, that's great. Right. I'm quick to do it. I'm quick to fall for it, even when they're trying to just get us riled up. But everybody has dismissed this as Tennessee won already. And I don't get it. I'm not there yet. I'm just not. I don't think this is over. I don't think anything's changed. I don't think these guys are going off intel. I think they're going off hunches. And while I seem to kind of agree, and I have a similar hunch that it is Tennessee, I'm certainly not to the point where like I'm dejected and we've lost. I don't think we have. And Saturday at 12:30, David Sanders makes his decision, and we go into this thing, I believe, still, like I said a week ago, this is a 50-50 coin flip heading in. This could go any way, and I'm not going to be shocked. And we're going to be right here Saturday at noon, 12:30. He announces we're going to be here. This isn't a Messiah Del Home situation where, you know, when the Buckeyes say they're not going to take him, right? Like, okay, they didn't say that, but we knew that was the case. And we know he's not going to choose Ohio State because of that. Like, it's kind of awkward to come on live and do that, but that's not why we didn't have a live. I was debating whether or not to have it or not. I had the situation with my Gigi, but, you know, it was awkward. Like, okay, what am I supposed to say if somebody comes in and they're like, why would this guy choose Maryland over Ohio State? The Buckeyes kind of pulled his offer. You know what I mean? Oh, I did have some idiot in the comments said, if Bama would have offered him, I bet you guys would have taken him. Hey, smart guy. Bama did offer him and they pulled out too. So that happened too. But still feel bad for Messiah Del Home. But the point is, David Sanders, guys, well, we haven't got any negative intel. What we did get is something a little interesting, and you're probably going to say I'm reading too much into this. But here's what we do know. This is concrete info, and I'm going to show it to you right now. David Sanders in his senior school uniform pictures, his team pictures, and his individual pictures wore the Ohio State sleeves with his uniform. I don't read into that stuff. The kids wear gloves. They get the stuff for free. They can only wear it for a limited amount of time, particularly if they're choosing another school, right? If I'm choosing Tennessee and I'm David Sanders, how long do I have to wear my Ohio State arm sleeves? Not long. Once I commit, I'm not going to wear that unless I want to be one of those guys that wants to get a lot of attention, a lot of the flip attention. Sanders isn't that guy. I don't usually put a lot of stock into that stuff at all. And the Ohio State stuff matches his Providence Day high school uniform better than any of the other stuff. So no big deal there. But he did do it. But he just launched a website selling David Sanders Jr. merchandise. And David Sanders Jr. has his own logo, got his own stuff. He loves that number 70. That's his thing. You probably could tell from his big chain, his big medallion. But I checked out his website, and on the cover of his website, and again, we're not going to read too much into the cover, but it is a picture of David Sanders Jr. in a Buckeye uniform from his official visit. Now, that seems pretty promising for a guy who's supposed to choose Tennessee, right? This is brand new. How much can we read into that? Not a ton. What about the merchandise? Well, the merchandise is pictures of David, shirts with pictures of him in his Providence Day uniform. All except for one. There's one picture in the entire lot of merchandise where he is not in his high school uniform. Allow me to show it to you. This is printed on a sweatshirt. This is David Sanders in a black Ohio State uniform on this sweatshirt right here. That is the only garment on that website for sale that David Sanders is not in his Providence Day uniform. The one garment, he's wearing a black Ohio State uniform on a shirt for sale. There's no Tennessee. There's no Nebraska. There's no Georgia. There's no Clemson. There's nothing else. The only reference on that website to any college is that sweatshirt right there in an Ohio State uniform. Tell me it means nothing. Because that's making me excited, guys. Like, tell me that means nothing. That seems like, to me, that was a slip up. That was a slip up that they did not mean to release, or they wanted to drop that nugget intentionally. Would they do that to troll us? Would they be that sinister to have him on the cover in an Ohio State uniform and that in there for sale? Would they do that just to troll? I don't think so. They don't strike me as that type of folks. I think the more likely scenario is that's an accident. That thing was supposed to come out later, and it accidentally got leaked, and we found it. Now, it could mean absolutely nothing at all. But you plan this website, and I'm talking there are 14, 15 different garments. There's a lot of planning that goes into things like this. Just one college, and it's Ohio State. Could be totally overthinking it. But in the end, if he chooses Tennessee, if I had one question for him, it's not what made you choose them, or did you not jive with Fry, or was it the money, or what was that special thing Tennessee offered? It's this. What happened here? Why is there one school on your website that is on your shirt? And why is it Ohio State? And you didn't pick Ohio State. Like, I want to know this. I'm so curious about this. I think I should order it. You guys think I should get it? I'm going to get it. What the hell? Let's order it. I'm going to wear it on the show on next Saturday. I'm going to wear it. I'm going to get it right now, get it expedited. We'll get it. Right now, what I'm wearing is my Sonny Styles jersey. As you guys know, not just my favorite Buckeye, my favorite recruit coming out of the state of Ohio in the last decade. I am just enamored with Sonny Styles. Have been for a long time now. Sonny's my dude, and I got to talk about Sonny, and we're going to get there in a minute. But first, a couple other pieces of recruiting news, as Josh Petty did choose to go to Georgia Tech today, as was expected. Chose Georgia Tech over Florida State. The Florida State Noles were talking in our comments, guys. They were laughing at us for talking about potentially getting Josh Petty. He's a Nole. He's a Nole. No, sir. He chose the smart school after all, as did this gentleman here, projected to go to Georgia Tech now. This is a stud, highly rated 4-star out of the state of Georgia, committed to Georgia, and is now flipping out of that commitment to go to Georgia Tech. So they got something cooking, guys. Georgia Tech, can you believe it? Out recruiting Ohio State, Florida State, Georgia. I don't know what they're throwing around down there, but they certainly have the talent in the surrounding area around Georgia Tech to be able to compete at a very high level if they actually do have their money up and can find enough guys that are smart enough to get in. I guess it's a really difficult place to get in. I certainly could not have. That's for sure. Buckeyes would like another running back in the class. That running back, a couple weeks ago, I said, I don't think there's any chance it's going to be Shakai Mills, as he was supposed to come up for his visit. And then he just never showed, or we never heard what happened, but he wasn't in Columbus. Keelan Deere, the number one running back in the class, was committed to Ole Miss and had flipped out of Ole Miss. Shakai Mills Knight said he wants to make the decision before school starts, or the season starts, and that is August 28th. So that decision is coming soon. And Shakai Mills Knight, he's going to go to Ole Miss. And today, an RPM came out from Wilt Funk for Shakai Mills Knight to Ole Miss, which we knew all along. So Ole Miss was going to pay whatever it took after they lost Keelan Deere to lock him in. They also prioritized him. The Buckeyes can't really prioritize the number 3 running back in a class, particularly when you got 2 absolute studs in Bo Jackson and Isaiah West, the most underrated back of the class and top 3 back in the class, in my opinion. But take a look at this. Real Analytics, the company I cited a couple weeks ago, showing how fast Brody Lennon was, fast as Bo Jackson. they measure a lot of different things on a lot of these prospects. And they did all the running backs in the top 10. Or I'm sorry, more than the top 10. All the running backs. And they got their total scores for their IGA. I don't know what all goes into this. It's funky dunky stuff. And they measured all the funky dunky stuff. Akeelan Deer, the number one back in the class, measured number one. And this is, athleticism, right? This is straight up athleticism stuff. Closing distance for linebackers, like how fast a guy closes this many yards, all the cool stuff. Bo Jackson, number 2 in overall athleticism, over Harlem Berry, who some people have as the number one, a couple services, the number one back in the class, over JT Lindsley. LSU has like 2 of the top 5 backs rated in this class. Ohio State does too. Isaiah West just isn't rated as such, but heck of a job for both of those schools. And congrats to Bo Jackson. And Bo popped this one off in a scrimmage today. Let me show you this run here from Bo. Here goes Bo. Hand off Barry. Barry on the run. Our dude is does anybody give you this much stuff? Like I give it all to you. I give it all to you guys. Have a look-see at the Glenville Posse. I tweeted this today, but honestly, guys, is there a cooler name in Ohio high school football than the Glenville Tarblooders? The Tarblooders. It gets no cooler. All the way on the right, our guy Arvell Reese led the show off with Arvell Reese. Arvell won that, whatever that was. That was him tackling in the scrimmage. Absolutely flying off the edge, wrapping up good, looking fantastic. Everybody talking about Arvell. Look at the size of Arvell. In the middle there, Bryce West, the cornerback, really highly rated, top 100 cornerback out of Glenville. And then that's Demarion Witten on the left. Came in as a tight end, supposedly, but he's with the wide receivers. I think he ends up staying there. Heck of a prospect, very underrated prospect, and I don't know why. Crazy athletic gifts, the kind of guy they usually overrate. So the Glenville Tarblooder Posse in the house. My buddy, Nathan, buddy of mine forever. This is his son. He is an 8th grader, just got an offer to Ball State in the 8th grade. Congratulations to Julian, my man. Known this kid since he was a little toddler, and he got himself a D1 offer. Congrats, Julian. He plays up at Glenville for the Ginn Academy on Teddy Ginn's team, okay? And you guys would not believe this, but Beanie Wells' son is on the team. Dante Whitner's son is on the team. Teddy Ginn coaches the team. Troy Smith helps him coach the team. And Dante Whitner and Beanie Wells are just chill at practice while Teddy and Troy are coaching this 8th grade team. And 2 weeks ago, Orlando Pace stopped by. So you had all those dudes at this practice up at Ginn Academy. That's insane. Totally insane. So I asked my buddy, do people like bother them? Do they know who they are? No, nobody bothers them. Nobody talks to them. Like the parents just come and go, like whatever. Like any of us would be like, are you kidding me? Like there's Beanie, there's Troy, there's Ted Ginn. Oh, Orlando Pace just popped in. I should go check out practice, I think. You guys think maybe bring my portable microphone? I think I should. But congratulations, Julian. Going to be a stud. He is his dad talked him out. He wanted to go to Glenville for high school, but he's going to go to Hoban. So we're sending him to Hoban, and we'll see those Ball State offers turn into the big offers. That's what we're going to do. That's our guy. The Cincinnati Bengals, for the first time in franchise history, are going to be wearing orange pants this year. I didn't know they had never done that. They're going to do that. What do you guys think? I know we got some Bingos fans in here. And there's our dude, Mike Hall Jr. Looks like an absolute I think he looks bigger in the Browns uniform than he did in his Ohio State uniform. But he was absolutely thrilled to be able to take the field in the Cleveland Browns uniform. a kid from Streetsboro to Ohio State, staying in Ohio to play his pro ball. Well, to start, you never usually stay, but he looks great in the uniform. And those two uniforms in particular together on the same field look absolutely fantastic. We've seen a couple of new uniforms come out recently. What did we see? We saw the Broncos. I don't have those. The Texans look good. The Broncos one. Why don't they go back to the Elway era, the early Elway era Broncos ones with the lighter blue and the bright orange? Those were awesome NFL uniforms. I hate their new uniforms, but you guys want to hear about that. What you do want to hear about probably is Sonny Styles. Now, Sonny Styles, listen, I got this superpower, and it comes, it's not a superpower. What I'm trying to say is nobody would brag about this because it's so stupid. That's how you know it's true. I'm telling you the truth. From years, I was in bodybuilding for years, okay? And because of being in that and training people and training with people, I have an uncanny knack for being able to look at someone's physical structure and knowing how much they weigh within 5 pounds. I'm like a carnival freak. I can tell you how much you weigh. And I can also tell you how tall you are within a half an inch. I'm just really good at it. It's just a thing I got. And I can tell you unequivocally that James Laurinaitis is 6'3". And I can tell you unequivocally that Jack Sawyer is 6'4.5", listed at 6'5". I know these to be fact. As true as I'm sitting here and this table is not finished. My wife didn't get to finish it like that because I stole it. And she told me to bring it back and I didn't. Like, I can tell you, as true as I can tell you that story, that is how tall those guys are from standing right next to them. Jack Sawyer, 6'4.5". James Laurinaitis, 6'3". Now, Sonny Styles came into the Ohio State program at 17 years old. An unbelievable recruit who reclassified. Obviously, a legacy. Pops, the man, absolutely loved him. Let's have a look-see at Pops. Lorenzo Styles, Sr. There's Sonny on the left. Lorenzo Jr. on the right. Pops. Here's Pops in his Buckeye uniform, the most beautiful uniform in the history of the world. There are some people who think it's going to be acceptable to put an advertisement on that jersey. Justify yourself, honestly. Like, look at that. That is gorgeous. Bring us back our sleeves. There's nothing more beautiful. But the point is, Lorenzo Styles' sons, Sonny Styles, whose Sonny's a nickname. It's a nickname from The Godfather, Sonny. Sonny Styles, Lorenzo Styles Jr., a couple of Buckeyes, and Sonny came in listed at 6'4", 230 pounds. Now, Sonny is no longer 6'4", still listed at 6'4", and I'm going to show you. Now, remember I told you, Jack Sawyer, 6'4.5". He's listed at 6'5", and even if you give him 6'5", he's not. He's 6'4.5". That's me telling you that. You can believe that or not. If you believe he's 6'5", have a look-see at Jack Sawyer next to Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles, a full inch easily over Jack Sawyer. I think Jack Sawyer is 6'4.5". That puts Sonny Styles at 6'5.5". Listed at 230. He said he's up to 240. I think he's heavier. Look at the size of his arms. By the way, look at Ty Hamilton's arm. My word. Take a look at Sonny in this picture. Look at him next to Caleb Downs. He makes Caleb Downs look like a 7th grader. Caleb Downs is jacked. Caleb's got big arms. Look at him next to Sonny. Sonny Styles is a top 5 freak in the history of Ohio State football and climbing. He might be the biggest freak ever by the time he gets out. Look at his neck. This guy's ridiculous. He's going to be 6'6", 250 pounds by the time he leaves Ohio State and can move like a safety. This is just absurd. It's not fair. It's not fair. We love it, but it's not fair. The guy looks like a prototypical edge now. He looks like an edge rusher, an NFL edge rusher, and he's playing linebacker at The Ohio State University. He should be starting in the NFL as an edge, an all-pro edge. The guy is unbelievable. I can't wait to see him in action. Absolutely cannot wait. A couple other pictures came out of that media session, or I think it was like a parents' weekend or something, family weekend. There's a bunch of family members up, and I got some cool ones to share with you. And here's why I told you about James Laurinaitis. James Laurinaitis is 6'3". You can see James all the way to the right, next to CJ Hicks. CJ's got him by maybe a smidge there. Those two dudes are 6'3". Scan to the left, you can see now Arvell and Gabe Powers are a legit 6'4". Both about an inch taller than James Laurinaitis and CJ Hicks. And then you got Sonny on the left. Those two dudes next to Sonny are 6'4", and Sonny is absolutely an inch taller than him, if not more. It's just ridiculous. Up top, we got Low Styles Jr. and Jermaine Matthews. Jermaine Matthews, I mean, he looks really young still. He looks really young. On the bottom, you got Sonny on the left, Quinshawn in the middle, and Low Styles Jr. on the right. By the way, I'm wearing my Sonny Styles jersey. I don't know if you guys noticed. But this Sonny Styles jersey is special. Here we got Quinshawn and Trey and their moms. How sweet is that, huh? Family day. Gotta love it. So the reason I'm bringing up Sonny Styles, Chris Drew, right? Chris he's been doing this here in Akron local on radio for a long time. That's how he started, right? He was on radio, a radio guy. And, you know, he went to school, got an education for this kind of stuff. And that's why he's so smooth, combined, you know, that background and the years of just honing his skill on a microphone. And I can tell it every time I sit and talk to him, the difference between talking to him and talking to somebody like me, you know, who just, you know, does a podcast, maybe picked it up and thought, hey, I can do that too. And we don't sound anywhere near as good as him. It just doesn't sound as smooth. The delivery sounds choppier. And I can tell the difference when I talk to him. The point I'm making is he's my friend and he knows what he's doing. So I ask him questions and he helps me. He gives me tips and he helps me get better. And one of those things, you know, I'm kind of like his protege. You know what I mean? And in being his protege, you would think today when he had Sonny flipping Styles sitting down in an interview with him, he might give me a heads up. Yo, bro, I'm about to talk to Sonny Styles. Isn't that amazing? Your favorite player? Isn't that awesome? You got a question you might like me to ask for you? Nothing. I got nothing. Not a text, not a nothing. He didn't tell me word one. I found out when everybody else found out that he was interviewing Sonny Styles on the show today. Some pal. Anyway, he did interview Sonny Styles on the show today, and it was phenomenal because most people interview a player and they all suck. They all sound the same. He actually got interesting information. He got Sonny to come out, interesting stuff. You got to watch it if you haven't. It's on Menace to Sports. And listen, if you got a problem with Sonny Styles being on Menace to Sports, you're not alone. Several people did, which is why I'll let Zach explain.
I was going to do the interview, and then I thought, one, Chris is a little bit better at interviewing than me, and two, for all the Karens out there that are going to freak out that Ohio State allowed this, like it's some horrible thing. I was like, it'd be better if Chris did the interview.
Well, you might have thought that would have worked, but it didn't. It didn't work. Hey, Buckeye Notes, can you please step in and do your job here? Says specialists, and goes on to call people who watch Menace the R word. Classy guy. But if you want to go cry to, by the way, Buckeye Notes is Jerry Emig, the guy who all the players have to go talk to get it cleared before they do an interview. So he did do his job, and he allowed Sonny to do that interview because Sonny wanted to do it, and he's an upperclassman, you weirdo. So Sonny wanted to go do that interview on Menace to Sports and promote the charity he was working with. And that's what he did. And Jerry Emig allowed him to, as he should. So good on Jerry for once. Jerry, I tried to contact one time. He was really, really rude and snotty to me. And I'll never do that again. So anyway, our guy, Chris, interviewed Sonny. It was fantastic. Here's a little snippet.
No one answer, but let's see if you give me something new, because we talked about you for about 20 minutes. Can you give me one young player on offense and one on defense that you're really excited about that, that fans maybe should like keep a hard look,
I think for defense, probably obviously people already know about Jermaine Matthews. I mean, he showed how good he was, so that's a little obvious. I'd say Kaden McDonald. He's a D tackle. I think he's 98. He's a D tackle, so I think he's gonna be he's gonna do really good this year.
he doesn't get a lot of mention. People
he's super physical, takes up a lot of space. Obviously, we have two great D tackles that have already been proven, like they're both seniors, Tyleek Williams and Ty Hamilton. But I think there's some young D linemen that people don't really know too much about that I think they're going to show some great things this year. So just across all the young guys across that D line room are going to be great. I think on offense, the obvious answer, J.J. Smith. I mean, Jeremiah's going to be crazy this year. I'm excited to see what he does. Dude's just a dog, man. I don't know. Like, he has so much hype around his name. And he's one of the coolest people ever. Like you wouldn't even know just because the way he acts. Like, he doesn't carry himself in that way. And he works hard. He's focused. He doesn't really do he's not a huge social media talkative guy all up in your face. But when we get on that field, he's gonna be a dog. He's gonna let you know about it too. So, I love him. I think he's gonna do great this year as well.
God, Santino, man, that kid's perfect. He's perfect. And my mentor, it's weird. I got a son almost his age, Chris's. But I'm a rook. I gotta learn the way, and how you do that is you surround yourself with people who will help you and assist you. And he always has. Up until today, I loved him. I still love him. But he was nervous for that. Even he was nervous, and that's something because he's done a lot. He's interviewed a lot of people, talked to a lot of people. But yes, I am aware that the AP poll came out today, and I know I've been waiting for it, but I have run over an hour now. So I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow to get to that one, or else this thing's going to take forever to upload. And I'm sorry I rambled on. I did a fair bit of rambling today. I went way off of the bullet points on the note sheet, but that's all right. Sometimes those are the best shows. We'll see how this one hits with you guys. But I do want to show you this. This is the original AP poll, the very first one. Pretty interesting to see the teams that are on here that are still relevant and the ones who have faded away in the world of college football. You got Minnesota, who was a powerhouse. I believe they won the national championship that year. They did win 3 in a row at one point in that right around that era. Duke, number 2. Duke, a football powerhouse. Army, number 3. Northwestern, the Nerds, number 4. Purdue, number 5. Look at all these Big Ten teams now with USC, number 6. USC, Notre Dame, Washington was playing good football back then. Pitt was a powerhouse, as was Yale, of course. Duquesne out of Pittsburgh, St. Mary's, LSU, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Fordham, Holy Cross, Tulane. Tulane was in the SEC, SMU, and Marquette. How about that? Pretty interesting. And tomorrow we'll go over this new AP poll. I got some thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts on it. I have observed it, taken my notes, but we'll have to save it for tomorrow. I also want to go through my top 25 games of the year that I'm most looking forward to from this Buckeye fans' point of view. Not the top 25, but the ones I'm most looking forward to. And I will get to that tomorrow. So hope you like today's show. Let's get to some comments. From Chris, I think Ennis will get a receiving, rushing, and returning touchdown this season. If anybody can, it's him. And I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities to both rush the ball and return some kicks. So we'll see. He's got the juice. Everybody's really excited about him this year, as am I. K. Simon says, I don't want to hear anything. I want to see them able to get 1 yard running the ball when they need it. Of course, he's talking about the offensive line. And of course, he's got every right to feel that way. I felt that way most of the year last year. And I felt that way heading into the first couple of weeks of spring. But then things started to change a little bit. And as we've gone on and up until this point, we've seen nothing but positive momentum with this offensive line. And you also got to factor in Chip. I mean, if nothing else, even Chip with last year's offensive line, those same guys, which we have those same guys, they're just bigger and stronger and smarter and everything else you get with age. But you also added a center who's a veteran making the calls. That's a huge deal. and a very smart center at that. A guy who graded out number 2 in the SEC per PFF, not last season, but the season before. Dude who knows what he's doing with a ton of starts under his belt. But if you had this same unit last year with Chip doing the install from the spring, and you went into last season with Chip, that same unit would have been immensely better. Immensely. Now you've got them improved. A year bigger, a year stronger. Josh Fryer, double iron Buckeyes in a row. Seth McLaughlin, Simmons shedding 17% of body fat points. Like all of that, plus Chip and Tim Drevno. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. You're about to be in for a good surprise. My buddy Dago. Yep, the Buckeye O-line is going to be great, barring any injuries. Knock heavily on wood was what I took from Chip Kelly last week. He has done more with less, and that's for sure. No doubt about that. Natty Time 517 says, I was watching another podcast the other day, and they quoted Hartline as saying, if receivers aren't blocking, they won't be playing. Absolutely love to hear that. It's definitely an area that the receivers could improve upon. There's not many, but that's one. Emily says, Locke is the best. I'm so happy we got him. He absolutely is a quote machine. And when you see him coaching those running backs, it looks a heck of a lot different than it used to. That's for sure. Mello says, Buckeyes, LFG. So Mello and Devin started a show called the Buckeye Boys, and they are airing over on the Ohio Podcast channel. They've been helping out on the Ohio Podcast over there with Eric and the Wild Man and JR and doing that stuff with them. And then they're going to start their own show. So let's check them out. When I get a snippet, when they get some stuff together, I'll play it on the show so you guys can check them out. But they have supported all the Buckeye podcasts for years. Let's help take care of them. And that's my show for tonight, guys. Hope it was everything you wanted. And I will see you soon. Talk to you later. Juck and Bucks out. Hey, it's Juck.
Juck?
Who is Juck?
Juck on Bucks.
Juck on Bucks.
Juck on Bucks?
Juck. Juck on Bucks.
My guy Juck. Juck on Bucks.
My buddy Juck.
Juck is the Juck.
Juck on Bucks.
Okay.
Juck is junk.
The Buckeyes.
Juckeye.
Juck on Bucks.
Junk. Juck. Not junk. Juck.